how soon is it going to be that I'm going to go to a pharmacist and talk to a program rather than a person? Or how soon am I going to go to a pastor and talk to a program and not a person? My concern as the old man with this old man rage here is that we're losing the people of it. And the moment the AI decides it can people better than actual people, we're in big trouble.
I think that is impossible. I'm Parker.
And I'm Tim.
And this is the Rage Podcast, where today we are going to talk...
No, hang on. Before you even say it, I have to start this off. We are going to tackle a topic that I figured we'd be tackling eventually. I'm not surprised by that. However, we're not going the direction I thought we were going, okay? I learned some stuff in our pre-filming meeting about Parker that makes me worried about the state of his eternal soul. So, all right, Parker, go.
AI, artificial intelligence, and
tell him what you did.
The next,
tell him what you did.
So there's a software that's AI.
He's beating around the bush. He subscribed to it.
I subscribe to it, all right? Well, trying to subscribe to it. It's a harder process than what you may think.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, and we'll probably get into that, okay? But anyways, I, downloaded it, and it has just, everything
first of all,
I do.
He has it. Now explain what it is, because I didn't even know until he explained it to me.
Here's an example of what it can do. I get an email, and someone's asking a specific question, all right? It's going to create a response for me, and it's going to put in parentheses where I need to put specific information if I didn't give it enough information already.
Okay, so let's do an example.
All right.
Parker, what chapter are we on in the study tonight? So ChatGPT would give you what?
Okay, so it would create hello, blank and blank, whatever the name is that,
and it would fill that in.
Fill all that in because it already has that information. Okay. And it says the chapter that we are on tonight will be in parentheses. I'll plug that in because it probably doesn't know what chapter we're on tonight.
Right.
And then once I put that in, it can finish out the sentence with saying, "Look forward to seeing you tonight." Put my signature, and there it goes.
Okay, so if you get an email from Parker,
and it sounds
a little mechanical. It was written by his fascist dictator partner, known as ChatGPT. So yes, so he downloaded this on his computer. Mm-hmm. Okay, and what this is it's sort of like a virtual assistant. Okay,
very much so.
That's how it functions. So he now has a personal secretary that's known as this program called ChatGPT. And he's been telling me a little bit about it because he's just through the trial period because they haven't approved him to actually give him a copy yet, which we will talk about that. But so that's what he's using it for is to be able to fill in his calendar, to respond to emails, to kind of keep track of things going on in the college, to make sure that his college work is done. Yeah. And then he's also working at Walnut Grove and here at Wayne Street, and he's got 1,000 other things going on. So ChatGPT sort of puts all that stuff together and allows him to.
But here's what's really, really cool.
Okay.
And Tim I hope understands this, or maybe I'm just an uncompassionate soul person. But we get a lot of emails that can be easily that I hate to even tell you how much time I have to spend responding to them.
I'll tell you, I spend all day. We're filming this on a Monday. Yep. I spend all day on Monday just doing email.
Yep.
That's my entire Monday every week.
And now some of them just need a response, right?
Yeah. Or it's just like a newsletter I'm sending out, like Wayne Street Weekly is what we call it here. Or I'm sending out a group email to the Pastoral Association, to the Family Life Center, to the Rotary, to all over the place, the staff. Mm-hmm. So I send all these emails out, and it takes me honestly either all afternoon Sunday or most of the day Monday, or some combination of the two things to get all that done. And so
I'm trying to convince Tim this would be great for him as well. But so Tim sends a staff to the Ministerial Association, and normally an email, to the Ministerial Association, and normally it's the same email almost every time. Yeah. It's the exact same email. Tim's still, living in the Stone Age of technology. Believe it or not, that's a thing, the Stone Age of technology.
Yes, Gen Xer, caveman, that's me, and proud of it, so yes.
So he still types out, when can we meet? Pretty much is what the email always is, hope everyone's had a great Sunday, when can we meet? ChatGPT can understand, or a lot of these AI programs, don't know if ChatGPT can technically maybe do some of that stuff, but a lot of these AI programs that I've looked into could automatically type that email in a click of a button, and all you have to do is press the send button and it's gone.
Yeah, and all I had to do is fill in the details, which usually, some of them, there aren't many.
Aren't many. Maybe put in a date of when you would like to have a meeting or something. That's it. Boom.
And that's what ChatGPT will do for you.
And then, but I'm also, I'm a horribly uncreative person. I really,
yeah, this one is interesting. Tell them about this.
And so, I struggle with the creative design and things like that. And so, and I hope no one from the college is looking at this, but anyways, incriminate myself. I'm an education major, all right? I love to teach. However, for younger kids, you sometimes have to have great creative and well-designed papers and everything. I sometimes struggle with that.
Wow, right? that, my friends, what you just heard is called understatement. He undersold that big time. He actually actively despises it. Go ahead.
Yes. So, but I could say, hey, whatever AI software I want.
Yeah.
Make a border around this paper that is going to be fun for a first grade classroom, and it creates the border, and I just got to plug in whatever curriculum we're using. So it makes the whole paper look creative and fun for a student.
And translating that, it makes it look like Parker didn't do it.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because if I did it, it would just be white on black text, and kids would be like, "Who's this guy?"
Preach on, Parker.
Yes. All right, and this one, me and Tim will probably fall in this category as well. Slides for Sunday morning.
Oh, heavens, yes.
All right, I can type into this program, and I could say, create me a church welcome slide. It's going to send it away, and it's going to bring me back with...
We're talking about what ends up on the screen on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, and it's going to come back with a couple different options probably, and I'm going to pick whichever one I like, and I just probably got to plug in, if it didn't already learn the name of the church that I work at or serve at, and there it goes, and... voila.
So what the ChatGPT is going to learn about Parker is Parker's not very creative. But ChatGPT, who's being used by a gazillion people around the world, will say, all right, but I know all these other people who have created these creative things. So they're gonna put all this stuff together and send it back to Parker to say, here's some designs I've seen that people seem to like, and they're gonna put that back and populate lists. And Parker says, well, I like that one, and then he's done.
And now realize. This for people like Tim, because Tim was going to go in a way of saying this is, the Satan himself is behind AI and all these things. He might not.
If ChatGPT is learning, Parker said that, not me. Go ahead.
But if you have a smartphone, okay, and when you're typing a text, if you have an iPhone, at least 3 words pop up at the top of what next word they think you're going to say.
It scares me. Yeah, and I have an actual Droid, Samsung phone. And it scares me how often that thing knows what I'm going to say.
Yep.
I mean, even sometimes it puts up words up there that aren't like common words, but they're ones I apparently use all the time.
You use a lot, so it's learned what your vocabulary is, and it's going to say, oh.
Yeah.
And so...
And I think that's the part that people are concerned about, including me, because I grew up with movies like The Terminator, and if you know what Skynet was, that's probably how Skynet started, and we're doomed. But anyways, it's the learning feature about this that it's amazing. It is amazing. And used by the right people for the right reasons, it could be awesome. I think the part of it that scares me, and this is where we need to get into how hard it is to actually get a copy of this thing, is what scares me is if somebody manipulates the algorithms that the ChatGPT is using. This program that's putting all these lists together and doing all this work for you. If somebody were to feed in any kind of out from right field kind of crazy thing, in there, suddenly Parker's getting back. I mean, who knows? Like, here's this slide for church, and it has porn in it.
Yeah, well,
probably not going to use that one. That's what concerns me. That's a funny example, but there are other places in there where the computer is now making decisions for you. Now, whether the opening slide for Sunday is red or green, who cares? But there are other things that, as Parker continues to use this, and Parker and ChatGPT can kind of learn each other, I just wonder where it will go. Because this idea of learning, I think, is scary. Because I honestly think human beings' ability to learn is what sets us apart from all the rest of the world. It's why God created us separately. Because if you go back to the creation story, and then basically every story after that, we're all learning something. And by learning a lesson, we advance. And I don't see any reason why AI wouldn't do that. I'm not saying that's automatically a bad thing, but the problem is... AI was designed by flawed people, meaning people.
Well, but here's the thing about all artificial, all of it. Not even. We're talking about the one software that I downloaded. All right.
Yeah.
But there's thousands out there already. There's tons that you can choose from. But how my way of thinking is, it can only progress as far as we progress. So if we were to take this and just stop learning, well, then it's not going to learn anymore.
Oh, I don't think that's going to happen.
And we're going to sit in the same loop. So I'm not concerned necessarily about the whole learning feature, but what I think is...
but the question is, who's going to stop it from stepping out? Because all it needs to be is a half a step in front of us. And again, I'm not trying to be the doomsday guy here, but I am saying that there are some questions about this that do make me just wonder what's going to happen. Because how soon is it going to be that I'm going to go to a pharmacist and talk to a program rather than a person? Or how soon am I going to go to a counselor or to a pastor and talk to a program and not a person? A pastor, I could go have a conversation with Billy Graham now or anything like that. And I don't know that that's good. If we can artificially recreate some of these great characters from the past, we'll have no reason to raise up new ones in the future. I'm not saying that Parker's responsible, at least totally responsible for that. but my concern as the old man with this old man rage here is that we're losing the people of it. And the moment the AI decides it can people better than actual people, we're in big trouble.
You see, I think that is impossible. You mentioned how it could get a step ahead of us. It can only go our pace because it feeds off the information that we're giving it, not just myself, but as a society. It's going to take. Tim uses a very different vocabulary than I do.
Yeah.
Say the AI software says, well, he emails Tim a lot, and Tim uses this word quite a bit. Yeah. So let's throw this one into our vocabulary.
Yeah.
It's not like but it's saying here's a different avenue that we could direct ourselves.
Right.
And this is probably just my generational gaps and differences. I have zero fears about any of this kind of technology stuff. Okay. I mean, I know there is a reason, because I look, if I'm looking through the eyes of Tim, or anyone Tim's age, or roundabouts.
Careful, but okay.
Yeah. I can see how there's concern and alarm, but my generation, we grew up with a smartphone.
Yeah, and that's the division you're seeing here, and that is true. I mean, I look at me and then my parents of how we deal with the internet. To me, I look at the internet as a tool. They look at it as this big scary thing. So again, he's 100% correct that you see a little of that going on here. I just want to maintain in all of these considerations and what's happening with AI. My prayer has always been, and my prayer certainly is now, is that people will always stay first. And again, I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying it could potentially not, depending on who actually is plunking the big buttons up at the top of the food chain. And it makes me wonder how long it's going to be before every email I get is exactly the same. And while I know Parker's not exactly super hip on creativity, if we take that out and if we let the computers people better than people do, I'm just afraid what that's going to lead to, because I see so many. I see it with the generation younger than Parker. Okay, you got to admit they're not exactly the most motivated generation we ever had, and I'm afraid something like this is going to make that problem worse.
And you see, so here's Tim, you mentioned about every email becomes the same.
Yeah.
For me, this is a problem I have, right? So this is how I'm very detailed person, right? When I get an email, all I want is bullets. All I want is tell me what you need from me, and that's all I want. I do not want anything else.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough. In an email, I'd agree with you. How about in a sermon?
In a sermon, okay, well that's a completely different subject,
okay.
right?
I know it is.
Yeah. So I mean, a sermon, because I have very strong feelings about this. I do not write out my sermons. I read the scripture ahead of time, and I write down maybe a few bullet points in the margin of my Bible, and that's it. When I communicate, I don't like reading. I just not how I am, right? And now that makes me lead to some things on Sunday mornings come out differently, and I have to regroup where I was, right?
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
But that happens.
Even when you write them out, that happens.
But you see, but where I come from is like those kind of things. You see, I have my own personal standard that's not going to happen, and I feel like that's the same with everyone else. You get anyone this kind of tool. All right, and you're going to have people who use it inappropriately.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Of course, yes.
So when it comes down to this, I was like, it's everyone else's I mean, this sounds really bad, but if you're going to go to, say, let's break this back to the church, right? Because we're both two pastors. Mm-hmm. If you're going to go to a church where the guy clearly, is preaching a sermon that he punched into some AI software, right? You probably shouldn't be going there. But in all honesty, it already doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it already doesn't matter because there's so many people out there who are preaching, preaching lifeless sermons. Yeah. They just are.
Yeah, that's true.
That's already a problem. What I think is critical if as we're approaching this entire different way of the world being operated, because that's truly where we're heading.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What needs to be consistent is your one morality, right? Which it never will be. With how I'm using it, I believe where I stand in certain places of my work, right? There's some emails I would never use ChatGPT on, mm-hmm. right? Because I know I have to be a little bit more personal.
Yeah.
All right. There's some, papers I'm going to have to write where I have to put my own spin on them because they have to be Parker Miley approved. But, a lot of this other busyness of life, the reason I like AI is because I think it will cut out nonsense. Because it will be strictly business. Here's business. There you go. Gone.
Well, I don't disagree with you. I'm just not sure it's good. Mm-hmm. Okay? I think that's where we are. And I go back to the early days of the internet, because the internet became a thing while I was in college. Mm-hmm. So I can date myself here a little. I can remember getting on the internet prior to Windows 3.1, and it was this whole thing where you had to use DOS to get on it. And there I just really dated myself, and it was this crazy system. And I remember at the time we were, talking about putting, files online and that kind of stuff, even though we didn't have Windows at that time, so it was hard to do. But I think if you would have went back then, I'm old. We just put the blanket over the fire and lifted it up.
I'm just shocked that Tim said we didn't have Windows yet and it was hard to do. And now anyone who uses Windows in my generation, it's the hardest file keeping
yes, because you guys use Macintosh, which I'm sorry, Macintosh is satanic.
I can't believe
and go ahead and feel free to get in the comments.
That was the funniest thing. I use Microsoft and it wasn't as easy back then.
Yeah. Well, trust me, back then you'd have fell out the window because it was awful. But the problem is if we went back to the mid 90s and talked about, because everybody was talking about, wow, the learning and education and every kid needs to be on the internet. Can we be entirely honest what the internet is today? It's a porn delivery service. I mean, I think that's what the vast majority of stuff goes on. I mean, you type in some of the most innocent search things and you end up with garbage in your results and stuff. And I'm just afraid that once you put the people component into it and and you said this too, take the morality out of it, which you could never do that. That's it's just going to be corrupted just like the internet was. And I don't want that to happen. I sincerely, I don't want that. I want this to stay something that's useful, use it the way Parker's talking about. I think that would be awesome. In fact, he's almost convinced me to sign up for it. I'm getting there. But at the end of the day, everything is going to be corrupted because we're all fallen creatures. Going back to the theological origin of people. We're all fallen, we're all broken, which means eventually we're going to find a way to corrupt this. Not we as a race, we're going to find a way to corrupt this, just like we did the internet, and just like we did the printing press, and just like we did the apple in the Garden of Eden.
Here's where my fear is. Okay. My fear really comes in say that younger generation, all right? And now I'm getting scared of myself because I just said that younger generation.
Old man vibes, here it comes.
I've been a 90-year-old since I was 5. So anyways.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
But anyways, like we were just talking a little bit, not so motivated people, I'm even going to say not the morality, has definitely gone down. Mm-hmm. If you go, I'm not bashing anything here, all right? Because I think this is just the process of world, all right? That's how this whole kind of thing works. But, we get tons of kids here on Wednesday night and things, and, not naming any names, but you see a lot of
lack of motivation,
and just utterly bizarre stuff, all right? For me, that the tool of AI, anything, right? I hope I can take it and do good with it, right? Yeah. That and just like, so say it was the print and press, right? I hope I'm doing great things with, even the printer that we have here at the church, right? Everything I run off is hopefully going to do some kind of good, right? Whatever it may be, I think in the right hands it does great things, but we know not everyone has the right hands. And so for me, I have zero concerns about this stuff because I know where I stand on a lot of it.
Well, we haven't talked about what you had to go through to get it. So, and let's transition to that for just a second. What I'd like to do is have Parker explain all the hoops he had to jump through just to get a copy of this, and I am fully convinced the reason for that is because they're trying to guard against some of these things that we're talking about. So kudos to the company that's doing it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you had to go through to get it?
You can get a free trial, all right, and then so you can kind of test some of the stuff out. It took a little bit of, have to sign up for some stuff here and there. But then, like, right now, like, it's waiting to verify that I'm kind of...
So you signed up, right? You have signed up,
yes.
but you don't have it yet, correct?
No, the software hasn't... I'm not been given access to download the whole software yet.
Okay.
And that's because, I'm pretty sure, because they didn't come out and say it flat out to me, but they probably want to make sure that I'm at least a human being for the safety of their own company.
Because they don't want bots running AI. If you that would be a disaster.
Once AI starts to run AI, you're lost. But Tim's not going to like this. It took a test. It gave me some questions to try to figure out what I do. And I said, I write papers nonstop 24/7. I'm a college student and I work in a church. And so I do. And so I gave it that information. So I said, oh, okay, so we're going to be doing a lot of paperwork and all these things and church work. And so we got to put up words like sovereign, right? It's like that kind of thing. So it asked for some of that information too. So it's almost, dare I say, going to try to build a program designed for me.
Yeah. Well, and plus they're going to know who's inquiring about it too. Yeah.
So it knows I'm a person, right?
I'm not, and what you do, and not just a person, but
Yeah, that I'm not going to go and, try to break into everyone's Minster bank account or anything, but like, so it definitely has some security precautions already in existence that I think are very needed. And, I was actually just on like Facebook or Instagram before we got on this episode. And, the big thing right now, I think that a lot of us are sleeping on is how our government's trying to age restrict a lot more of this technology, which is absolutely needed, right? So I'm all for, if you want to make 21 until you can download this kind of software, go ahead. I'll wait until I'm 21. Yeah. But I'm just saying, but there are definitely harmful things that come from this kind of technology. Look at the negative effects that social media have already created.
Yes.
Wait, let alone until
children should not be on social media, and that's not old man talking. Yeah. That's real.
Let alone once I can take a picture of myself and I can tell my AI to edit it so I look like Tim. It could literally say, I mean, why would I want to look like this guy? That's just a funny example.
I'm not sure.
Anyways, but it could do that. Make me look like some famous celebrity, right?
Yeah.
And then I can post that on my social media and I look like some famous, And I'm not. I'm just some.
Well, some of the other things that scare me is some of those deep fakes where they take somebody else's face and make you saying something you didn't say and that kind of stuff. That's a different issue, but again, that can be
some of those are also hilarious.
Some of them are hilarious. That is true.
Yeah. What's up, guys? It's your boy, President Biden. In the last video, you saw that Trump attempted to grief my Minecraft house. So I'm going to try to get a little payback in by griefing Trump's house.
Homie, don't you think this is going a little overboard?
Bro, Obama, quit being a pussy.
Thanks for helping, guys. Does everyone agree to blame this on Hillary?
Sure thing.
Yeah, of course, man.
For that one, I have to wait. Well, humor or lose my identity and all my rights. I mean, that's
really
difficult.
Let's be honest. We know which way you're on that one. But yeah.
As we enter into this new age, and this is not. I'm not talking to Tim because by the time our world's all adapted to this kind of technology, I was going to say dead, but.
Who knows? Yeah.
But because I do feel like it's going to take a long time for this stuff to actually get up and running. We have to shift cautiously in everything. I was talking to Tim a couple weeks back about how in my English class we have to cite sources, right? Everything's online now to where I could literally paste the link on the paper and it'll bring you to the exact website I was just on, right? So my problem was, and this is English professor, if you're looking at this, don't hate me. But why am I citing these sources when all I can give you the exact access to everything I was just on. There it goes, And so that's just one example, and this is probably because I'm a college student, But why, that's not necessarily needed anymore. See, for me, I talked a little bit earlier about the detailedness, right? I think this was going to make productivity skyrocket. And when you, of course, used in the right hands.
Yeah, because you're not doing any busy work anymore.
But writing an email. Well, here's a program,
and that's clearly a wonderful use of this technology.
Yeah. So for even and what a lot of them are, what I've seen, I could have gotten a business subscription, which was thousands upon thousands of dollars, which I'm assuming your companies are using, right? Because then one email here, one email there, you can because it really does a good job of making it still cordial. It has a mind of its own, trying to put some actual compassion and care into things, which is kind of shocking and scary. But it gives, all I have to do is punch in the information and it goes. I mean, that's just, you can't get any easier than that. And so I definitely see nothing but greatness that can come out of this. However, we can't turn a blind eye to the fact that in wrong hands, anything will go wrong.
And that's why we're discussing it here today on what is normally a very church-related podcast. This may not seem like necessarily a church-related topic, but it is, because it's something we're all going to be faced with in the days, weeks, and months to come. And, have to make a decision what we want to do with it and how we want to use it. And even our leaders are going to have to, like Parker was saying, age restriction, I couldn't agree more. What the parameters of this are going to be, because just like the internet, we know what a nuclear warhead it could be in the wrong hands, and we've seen that with what it's done, what social media has done to some of our younger generations, younger than Parker.
Tim was talking about sermon writing. All right, let's pull this into something churchy. Okay, hold your leadership to making sure that they are compassionate, right? Caring, that they are being a pastor that's tending to their flock, right? Are they, do they know your name? Do they, and all those things. And when you get to those, some churches and some pastors, with this kind of technology, their job can be made really, really easy, right? Every email's already typed up and every sermon's going to be printed out by some thing like that. But I mean, making sure, and not just in church, but with friends that you may have and all these things, this is a really good time to making sure you are still being human.
Yeah, and I'd say that's probably the moral of the story of this episode is don't hide behind electronics.
Yep.
Make sure you're still having face-to-face conversations. And look, we understand we're saying this on a podcast you're probably watching on your phone. But at the same time, we have Sunday morning services. Parker's here with us in the early service, and I'm here for 2 services, and he's out at Walnut Grove. And that's because we're out there to try to connect with a face and a person and all the blessings and curses that comes from that. And I guess the warning of this is don't lose that.
Yeah.
Because again, once we allow artificial intelligence to people better than people do, man, we lost what makes us special. What God looked at us and said, wow, that's very good on day number 6 of creation. That's going to be lost in the midst of this idea that we're allowing other things to people better than we do. I think the way that we prevent that is continue to have human interactions with people's faces. And I know many people have said that.
I'll bring a step further. Get to church.
Yeah.
As I end a lot of these episodes with saying that, though.
Yeah.
In all honesty, anymore, human interaction's not good enough. Have interaction with good humans.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. All right. Well said.
Yeah. That's another big thing, too. Don't go golly, now I'm on another tangent, but so many people are just negative and all the, all these dangers and all these things, and that's all they focus upon. That's awful for you as well, right? If your only human interaction is the airing of grievances, you're better off probably without having it, So come to a place where we can give you good news, joy, hope, connection, fellowship, and...
Sounds like the church.
Right, yeah. So get to a church, right?
What time is service at Walnut Grove?
Walnut Grove is at 10:30 on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, and here at Wayne Street, we're at 8:30 and 10:45. We'd love to have you. Come on out. Talk to somebody's face, including one of these faces you're looking at here. And don't lose that, because if we just become so distant through this stuff, that's going to lead to places we don't want to go. So keep that in mind, and we'll hope to see you on Sunday morning. Have a great week, everybody. I can't wait for you to become our fascist dictator, because honestly, that's really the only chance we have.
And it won't be me; it'll be AI.
So. I know. It'll be Parker's AI.